I'm Barry LaValley, and it's my pleasure to be able to speak to the consultants at this year's SMART conference. For those of you who weren't able to attend or who want a refresher, let me share a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today. I want to focus on the role that emotion plays in a client's decision making, how the brain actually works. Now let me ask you a question. True or false? People make decisions based on a rational evaluation of the logic and the facts. Now think about that for a minute. Particularly if you have clients and you like to give them all sorts of information on the logic and the analysis and all those charts that you trot out, do they need that to make a decision? And if you say, well, some of my clients do, what percentage of those clients make decisions based on logic or facts, or as I'm going to explain, in their left brain? Well, I don't know much about your clients, but I know the answer to my own question. The percentage of your clients that make a decision in their left brain based on the analysis and the logic and the facts is 0. You see, the part of the brain that processes analysis, numbers, has no decision-making ability whatsoever in human beings. It's interesting because the CPA profession, the wealth advisory profession, those are two examples of a profession that speaks generally to the wrong side of the head. So today we're going to talk about how people think and how they act and how they make decisions. Now I'm going to share with my audience a little bit about some basic brain science principles. Right brain versus left brain. Right brain is the home of emotion, left brain the home of logic. The fact is that the brain doesn't really like to work. And the more that the brain can make its thinking automatic, the better it likes it. So what the brain does is it shifts over information that doesn't take as much work and puts it into the right brain. Right brain is the home of feelings, hopes, dreams, emotions. Now, one point I'm going to make to my audience today, because there's a lot of CPAs here, is the fact that when you're a CPA and you are analyzing tax returns or helping people understand where they've come from versus where they are today, you're going from the past to the present. Wealth advice and retirement advice is something different. We're going from the present to the future. Anytime you're talking about where you are now versus where you want to be in the future, that's a right brain conversation. We'll talk about how you have those right brain conversations. The next point I'm going to make is that the brain likes things structured and organized because, remember I said that it doesn't like to think? It finds it easier to process information if it can bundle things, put them in little packages so that it can organize itself. The more organized you make your message in a way that the brain can see it, the better the brain likes it and the more the brain will engage. The third issue I'm going to talk about is the fact that clients have implicit needs that are inside of them that are emotional needs, and that the advisor has to get those emotional needs out on the table before he or she can really start to talk about money. So we'll talk a little bit about how you dig those out, because many advisors address money as if money is the client, when in actual fact money's not the client. The client is the client. I want to shift all of this information on brain science into a discussion of the discovery process. Understanding who this client really is, understanding how to ask questions, and helping the client understand themselves. Now I will mention today the law of clarity, and the law of clarity says that people don't know what they don't know because they don't know what they don't know. Now think about that for a minute. A lot of your clients move into planning for retirement, planning their wealth management situation, investment portfolios, etc., and they're not really sure about what the context is to those planning decisions. The role of discovery is for the advisor to really help the client understand themselves, understand those implicit needs that we talked about a little earlier. So we'll focus on how do you conduct effective discovery. Discovery is not a list of questions that you ask. Discovery is not putting a Klieg light in your office and shining it on the clients and saying, well, we've got questions to ask you. Discovery is a conversation. And so I'll be focusing this afternoon on the art of the conversation. How do you have a conversation and put the client at ease so that they'll just talk to you? And some of the most important parts of discovery are not really the questions you ask, but how you set your discovery process up. There has to be a structure. Your discovery process should be visual. You should be able to have the client understand where you are in the process, and you want to create the sense of you and I are talking as opposed to I'm taking notes while you're talking, because I don't want to break this contact that I have with the client, this interaction, this exchange of emotion. Finally, this afternoon, we'll take all of this information on brain science and positioning your understanding of the client, and we'll focus it on what your value proposition really is. And it's funny, value proposition, which is so fundamental to a successful business, most advisors are hard-pressed when you ask them, what do you do? You demonstrate what you do through your discovery process, through the way that you market yourself. But a lot of advisors have difficulty articulating this, and I think the problem has to do with the fact that for many advisors, they believe that their client is actually the money. As I said earlier, the client isn't the money, the client's the person. So I'm going to challenge my group today, and I challenge you. Think about what it is that you actually do for people as opposed to for their money. So if you say, well, I do tax planning, investment planning, money management, banking, insurance, that's actually not what you do at all. That's how you do it. I think you do three things for clients. Now let me share this with you, because if you can master these, here's your elevator speech. You do three things. Number one, you provide people with clarity. You help them clarify the key issues that they need to plan for, the things that they should be afraid of, the things that they shouldn't. Clarifying things is so important to your relationship with your client. The second thing that you do is you provide them with insight. Insight based on all of the experience that you've got, whether you're a CPA or a wealth advisor or a retirement advisor or consultant, all of this great experience that you've got over the years. That lets you provide insight, but insight also comes from your understanding of your client and the lengths you go to understand them through your discovery process. The third thing you provide is partnership, because this is now an ongoing relationship through the ages and the stages of your client's life. That's what an advisor actually does. Clarity, insight, and partnership, and how they do it is through money management, tax planning, etc. If you can make that distinction, you will relate more to a client's emotions, more to their right brain, and you will have them truly understand what you do as an advisor.